Praise be to Jesus and Mary. You're listening to Returning to Catholic Roots in a New Age World, a podcast hosted by Holly and Mandy. Let's begin our show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast, Returning to Catholic Roots in a New Age World. My name is Holly, and as always, I'm joined here by my mother, Mandy, and we are happy to be back this week joining you here on the Catholic Family Podcast. We'll begin our episode by saying, Jesus, meek and humble of heart, make our hearts like unto thine. So, we're about halfway through August here, and
the dog days of summer.
Days of summer, as my mom says, one of her little quips.
Yeah, I had decided, I remember I decided this last year, that August was I have my two least favorite months of the year. And August was one of them, August and February.
Yeah.
August just seems so dreary to me. I don't know why.
Well, for me, I was thinking about today, I didn't tell my mom this, but my son he goes to altar boy practice on Wednesday mornings, and they're really long. They're from 9 till 12, so you're always looking for something to do. So my daughter and I were just wandering around, like window shopping or whatever, going to stores, and all the fall stuff was out in this one store we were out at. And I was thinking about it when I was looking at the fall stuff. I was like, I really want fall.
Yeah.
Like I do. I love fall.
Yeah.
I love fall.
Most
it's my
do.
favorite season. I love it. It just gets me all cozy feeling, and and I was looking at all the decor and stuff, and I was like, I want to go home and decorate for fall, I think.
Right.
I mean, it's too early, and I'm not going to, but it made me want to decorate for fall.
Well, I think the big thing is you're done with the bugs.
Yes, the bugs.
And the weeds.
The weeds, yeah.
Like, if I have to pull another weed, and I'm not even good at it.
I know, I was going to say my weeds in my garden.
It's just like, can the snow come and this all die now?
Whoa, easy.
Oh.
Never mind the snow. We don't need any of that negativity around here.
Okay, just cold.
Can we have fall first?
Just cold. And I guess February is the exact same on the other side. You're done with
you're done with the snow.
You're done with the slush. You're done with your boots. You're done with, like freezing to get to your car.
Yeah, so that makes sense. That's
why
you're
just done with it.
That's why February and February and August are the same thing, just opposite.
Yeah, you're just done. Sense. You're just done with this season.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I'm grateful that I have a change of season. I know some people don't have that, and I don't know how I'd cope.
Yeah, what is it? Isn't it Arizona?
Yeah, my friends in Arizona.
They just have.
I don't know if they have some slight change of season, but generally it's just hot there. So
yeah.
I would die.
Well,
God bless people that live in Arizona.
There was something else you wanted to mention?
Yeah.
Before we jumped into the book?
I was listening to this TED Talk. What'd you say to me? Oh, you're listening to a TED Talk.
I said, well, you listen to TED Talk, you liberal.
Yeah, what are you, a liberal?
I don't. Okay, I should be careful when because I don't know if that's what I've never. Somebody once said to me. This was back in the day when I worked at a very liberal place, and she said, "Oh, my favorite thing to do is get a nice glass of wine and curl up in a blanket and watch a good TED Talk." So ever since.
Well, I can
see. And this girl was very liberal. So I seen a few, because maybe there are good TED Talks. Well, obviously you said you watch one, but
I have seen good ones.
Any TED Talk I've seen, it's been very liberal, so I'm just like, anytime somebody says TED Talk, I just think liberal. That's all.
Well, they're supposed to be inspirational, and as you know, I'm not a fan of
I'm not a fan of the secular inspiration.
I find, that
it's usually filled with some antichrist message.
It's filled with some message that's contrary to the virtues and to Christ. So, I mean, if you're not well versed in the virtues, or you don't understand that antichrist doctrine, you don't see it. And it's a lot of feel goods.
Yeah.
That are really not. They're empty and void, right? Because they don't have Christ as the center.
Right.
So, and I see them on, I see a lot of them in the memes and Facebook too, and a lot of people share them because, again, they seem good.
Yeah.
But they're not really. And I guess TED Talks are the same too. Like you could hit a lot that
And what, like, they're just someone standing on a stage, aren't they?
Right. And
Talking.
sometimes they're famous people.
And sometimes.
And sometimes, I don't know who this woman was. I can't even remember her name. And well, the reason it came up, I don't actually watch TED Talks. So the reason it came up in my feed was because I've been watching all this. I'm a 50s
50s.
housewife.
My mom wants to be a 50s housewife.
I do not want to be a 50s housewife. Let's be clear. I have real problem with the 50s.
50s, yeah.
I do. I have a problem with the 50s more so than any other time period. I actually posted on Facebook. Um, it was a model home,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I was like, wow, you know, like it was all the gadgets, all the,
Yeah,
you know,
I started watching.
the real Leave It to Beaver, you know, mom with her
Was that
pearls and
the
her
is
pretty
that the
dress and her
Good
little,
Housekeeping model home?
yes, yes,
Yeah, I started to watch that, and what I was thinking was how funny it was that that was the 50s, right?
yeah,
But it looked like it could, if the video quality was better,
yeah,
a lot of it could have looked like a house that you would see today. Like
yeah,
the French provincial dining room chairs, the way
yeah,
the fireplace
yeah,
was set up, minimalist, and
yes,
I was
yeah,
like, if this video quality was better, you wouldn't think this was a
yeah.
50s house.
But I was
I
like,
think we've come
well,
full
to me, it's a
circle.
pack of lies.
No, I know.
Because, like, as we know, you know, the 50s are setting us up for 1962,
Right.
right? And this idea that everybody has a perfect life, like, it was setting up the white picket fence syndrome
Mm-hmm.
that, you know, this is what you're owed,
Right.
this is what you're entitled to.
Yeah.
And if you don't get your Leave It to Beaver family and your Leave It
Yeah.
to Beaver house and
Yeah.
all this stuff, like, well, you're just owed that,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And it was, you know, and as we know, we're about to come into, like, it was ushering in all this, and 1962 comes and Vatican II comes, and you know, and the 60s were like somebody threw a bomb into the world.
Right.
It was a free-for-all. Like,
Yeah.
and I mean, I was born in 1962, and I sometimes try to explain to people, like, I was a child, don't get me wrong, I don't remember a lot of
Yeah.
it, but I do, you know, I do remember some.
Yeah.
I definitely remember the 70s. I graduated. I graduated both high school and grade school in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 1980, I graduated high school. But so I lived the 70s, you know, the immodesty, the impurity, like the sex was everywhere. It was very antichrist.
Yeah.
Like Vatican II came and this bomb got thrown on top of this idyllic 50s housewife
Yeah.
and like shattered everything, right? Like Kevin has a video there out about the gold medal. Did you watch it? I
No.
just watched it actually right before we started this, and about how, you know, the symbolism, and it's very satanic looking.
Mm-hmm.
So the gold medal they're putting on the Olympians, you know, it's a product of Satan. You know, really,
Yeah.
you might as well say it. And again, as Kevin said, and I agree too, I have nothing against, you know, people,
The
athletes,
sport.
and, you know, trying to be the best at
Yeah.
your sport and all that stuff. I have nothing against that. But, you know, he kind of put it out there like, you know, look at it for yourself. What is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's an antichrist society.
Yeah.
Like, and that happened. That happened in 1962.
Right.
That happened the minute they took Christ off the altar. Like,
Yeah.
they committed deicide for the second time. They removed Christ. Maybe not exactly in 1962, but, you know,
Yeah.
eventually they removed him from his church.
Right.
And so, I mean, these are the effects of this society. So what you're basically saying is they took a Christian society out of the world.
Right.
And we were living on the tailcoats of Christianity, on the, you know, on the dregs, as you say, of, you know, a civilized society.
Right.
But it wasn't. You know, it wasn't. And now we're at what, 2024? And it's just, you know, and I mean, I personally don't trust anything because all the virtue has been removed.
Right.
So if all the virtue has been finally removed, it's taken this much time,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then we have nothing. But back to our 1950s housewife, who they're setting us up for this fall, right?
Right.
So the TED Talk was about dress.
Oh.
So she
How
came
to
out.
dress?
Yeah, this is what caught my attention, was she came out in a 50s outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And and she said she changed her life, and the title was changing changing your life by changing what's in your closet.
Mm.
And I was like, well, why are you dressed in the 50s? And what are you talking about changing what's in your closet?
Right.
So that's why I watched it, or listened to it, I should say. And so anyway, what had happened to her was she went to help somebody at a vintage market. So for fun, she dressed up in a 50s outfit,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And of course, she couldn't get over the attention that she received from.
Like attention because people were like, "Wow, you look so good," or attention
Yes.
like, "What are you doing?"
No, wow, I really like your outfit. They were like, wow, you look so good. And,
Really?
and what she said was she was a typical, we're going to call her a new age woman,
Mm-hmm.
with yoga pants and messy
Yeah.
bun, getting things done,
Oh my
and
goodness.
what she realized was, everybody looked the same. That was her life of nothingness, she
Yeah.
called it. She said, everybody looks the same, your ripped jeans, your slouchy
Yeah.
sweater, everybody looks, and they look the
Yeah.
same, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
a cookie cutter. And so she said she was like invisible to the world.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I can see that. When I just see woman after woman. And then we know that too from what we live. We live in the world of decor and
Yeah.
trends,
Mm-hmm.
and your sisters too, because they have to sell to these women,
Yeah.
right? So they have to always be on trend. It's exhausting.
It's beyond exhausting.
It's absolutely exhausting to be on trend. You just can't, because the internet makes it move too fast.
Right.
But anyway, so she said she was so overtaken by the response she got for dressing like that just to go do a vintage event,
Yeah.
that she decided that she would one day a week
Wear 50s.
dress like that. And she, sorry guys,
My mom's a little bit sick.
well, no, I'm not sick. It's
It's
just
her throat.
it's my smoker's cough.
Yeah, she picked up a bad habit in between last week's episode and this one.
No, it just will.
I'm
My
joking.
throat problems will not leave me. But anyway, back to this woman. She decided to dedicate one day a week to dressing like this, and she said it opened up a whole new world for her because she opened herself up
Mm-hmm.
for people to talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like to go out and people would talk to her now.
Yeah.
They would say, wow, that's really cool what you're wearing,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever they would say to her, So obviously she's wearing all, and she said instead of being an invisible person,
She became something.
well, she
Or
became like a person that was approachable.
yeah.
She became a person that people wanted to talk to.
Yeah.
And she was out there and people were interested and all this stuff. She said it really changed her life just doing it one day.
Mm-hmm.
One day a week.
Right.
But what I was relating it to though is like us as traditional Catholics, like our dress should stand out
In a good way.
in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Like we should be able to stand up. Like we shouldn't be looking like everybody else in the world.
Well, and I did notice that. I had the same moment that she had.
Uh-huh.
The minute I went through my closet and I got rid of all my pants,
Yeah.
except for, work pants, like for when I'm painting or whatever. And then I just kept one pair of loose fitting pants just in case or whatever,
Yeah.
I'm not against pant wearing if you need them to work or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Because have you ever tried to climb a ladder in a skirt? It's dangerous.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's very dangerous.
I mean, I'm gonna say that people put out there that they used to do it.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with them saying that women used to do it. Yes,
Yeah.
they used to do it because they had to.
They had to.
Right.
It doesn't mean it was easy.
Doesn't mean it was easy. I mean
You
it's
know,
doable and
it's
they
doable,
did it.
yeah.
But I mean we live in a world where there's easier
Yeah,
ways.
right.
So I mean we should take advantage of those
Yeah.
easier ways.
And I
sometimes.
do have one skirt that has paint on it that I do keep as a work skirt. So if I'm doing like something where I'm not going to be up and down a ladder, or, then I will wear that. But anyway, so I did that. I went through my closet and I threw out all. I used to be I call a skirt wear on Sunday.
Yeah.
And if you're going to the church, but other than that,
yeah,
pants all the time.
Right.
I used to, honestly, because I did just want to fit in.
Right.
And I did. And a part of me did want to be quote unquote trendy.
Yeah.
But then I had my spiritual awakening or whatever you want to call it. And I thought, I want to start dressing like a Catholic. Like, I want to start dressing like a Catholic should. And, well, the main reason, I would get up every morning and look in the mirror and say, okay, now if our Lord was standing in front of me, would he be pleased with this outfit?
Right.
Or would I be embarrassed?
Yeah.
But once I started doing that, I noticed right away how approachable I was.
Yes.
People, and this is not a vanity thing, it's just I realized right away how quickly people were going out of their way to try to talk to me.
Yes.
Or hold doors for me, or I wasn't just one of these oblivious moms in yoga. Not that I ever wore yoga pants. I never wore yoga pants.
Yeah, never.
I'm just using that as an example, though, because that's what you see, though.
Yes.
I was, and they do. When you see the typical quote unquote woman in the yoga pants and the messy bun and the in the in-Mars clothing, they're a dime a dozen.
And they all look the same.
They're a dime a dozen, and it's so funny that I also think that I'm not saying that men don't look, but what I'm saying is I think they're so used to it.
Yeah.
I do.
That
That's just how women dress now. I don't even think it's startling anymore.
No, I don't think it's startling. Not to them. And I also don't.
And when I say
and
this,
I also
I mean
don't
the
think
general,
they notice it. That these women are actually invisible to men.
Well, and I'll tell you, it was funny because my daughter and I, when we were looking for things to do today, we went into a thrift store. So we're just kind of skimming the clothing racks. I always go because you do find I think you find the nicest skirts.
Yeah, it's a great place to find skirts.
But we're skimming through the shirts, and my daughter picks up this shirt, and I'm going to try to describe it as best to you guys as I can, because it was basically a set of sleeves. I don't know what this shirt was. I don't know what its purpose was, but it was the hem, the hem, you would call that the hem, right?
The bottom?
The bottom of the shirt, the hemline.
Yeah.
If you put that on, not only did it have a giant slit at the in between the neckline and the hem, but the hem would sit above your breast.
Oh.
I'm not lying.
Yeah.
And Ava's like, she's holding it up, and just picture a kid with like their two fingers and looking in disgust. And she's like, Mom, what is this supposed to be? And I said, just put that back. I mean, part of me wanted to buy it and take it home and burn it just to save somebody else. I said, actually, you know what, Ava? I think that's a set of sleeves. I said, because there's nothing else to that.
Right. Well, weird.
It was so weird.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I think it was probably some kind of a workout yoga thing that goes over a tank top or something.
Right, yeah.
But anyways, I was just like, nothing shocks me anymore. I think we're just so, it's just like everything is so out there.
Right.
That it's just like nothing, like, you see women scantily clad, dressed all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, like, I think, so what my whole point is that I think when somebody sees somebody who's modestly covered, and nice looking, and presentable is the word, and presentable,
and
looking pretty,
they're
nice, genuinely shocked.
I mean, the idea of the 50s clothes is they wore the pretty scarves and the kerchiefs and even I didn't know this, and I used to have a ton of these aprons because my mother did. I didn't actually know that they really didn't have a purpose except for to complement your outfit. They weren't.
There was a couple at the thrift store.
Legit aprons.
I was thinking, because you told me about these aprons the other day, and I was thinking, I saw them at the thrift store. I was like, oh, should I buy one of those? But then I was like, no.
What are you going to do
Well,
with
I have
it?
my work aprons, right, and they're actually made for working.
Yeah.
These aren't made for working.
So those 50 outfits,
they
tie around your waist,
with the two pockets.
They were meant total for decoration.
Like if someone was coming over and you were
you put your fancy apron on to say, look at me working. I'm a housewife. Right. But you actually weren't working in that apron. That was your show apron.
Yeah. So what you're saying is they were even fake back in the 50s before the internet.
Right. So I learned that from watching these 50 shows, that those weren't legit aprons. And I used to think, what a useless apron.
Yeah.
I did used to think that. I thought, why? Because when we had a bunch, my mother had them. you know.
Well, it's because when I saw them there at the thrift store, I thought, oh, they're cute. But then I thought, if I put that on and wash the dishes, my shirt would be soaked.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that doesn't,
No, it doesn't work.
you
But
know?
I think the whole point, like I think there's a lot to learn. Like I think as women, there's a lot to learn. And I know we have a whole pant skirt debate.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't particularly believe it's a sin to wear a pair of pants.
No.
I don't. You
No.
know, I mean, modesty is modesty as well as as long as you're well covered, and that we have come to a position where, you know, style is what it is as
Right.
long as you're modest,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Modesty is the most important thing. But I do say that, you know, as traditional Catholic women, we should be, you know, kind of jumping on the bandwagon and saying, this is my opportunity
Yeah.
to do something actually rebellious.
Yeah.
You know, to be a rebel. That's what I always tell my granddaughter. Like, she's not big on the wearing the skirts.
No.
And we don't push it.
No. I'm not, that's not a fight. That's not a fight I want to
Yeah,
die on,
we just said, well, your pants have to be modest.
Well, because, and here's the thing. Here's the thing, and I've realized this over a long time, growing up. Um, Not that I grew up around a lot of traditional families. We were a very small chapel, but you saw fights and battles over skirts
Oh, a lot.
with teenagers. And I honestly, and this is my own personal opinion, and this is how I'm raising my daughter, I want her to wear a skirt because she wants to wear a skirt.
Yes.
And because she wants to please our Lord. And nothing she wears is immodest.
Right, right.
Like, she's never immodest, but she just does not want to wear a skirt. And I'm like, and for mass, and she does wear them, like, if we're going
I
down
mean,
to
she
the
has
school.
lots.
She has lots. She just doesn't.
Like if she's sitting at home or she has a chance or,
Yeah.
you know, her choice will be a pair of pants.
Yeah.
Right? You know, that will be her choice.
And
So,
it's like, and that, she's 15, and it's like, now I have to just set the example and hope that she follows.
right.
And that one day she wants to wear a skirt because she knows that's what's pleasing to our Lord.
Right.
That's the way I look at it. I'm not gonna force a skirt on her every day.
Yeah, and the other thing, well, because she'll just resent
She
it.
will just resent it, and then
And it's not like it's you have to pick your battles in what is a sin and what is not a
right
sin.
now, if she was out, I mean, well, mind you, she doesn't have any freedom to go shopping on her own, anyways. But
Yeah.
if we were shopping and she picked up this would never happen, I don't think. But let's just use an example.
Yeah.
If she picked up a tube top or something,
Yeah.
I would be like, absolutely not.
Right, yeah.
If she, well, today she did pick up a pair of leather pants as a joke. They were in the thrift store. She picked them up. She's like, Mom. And I turned around. She's like, I think I'm going leather. Put those back. And then she laughed and she put the back, so. But let's say that she really did want those leather pants. The
Right.
answer would be absolutely not. You have to be modest.
Yes.
Not you have to wear a skirt. No, you have to be modest. Because I don't also want my children to grow up resenting their faith.
Right.
And their religion, and that everything is a battle.
Yes.
They have to come to it on their own. And I mean, maybe if I had a partner who was side by side with me on with the faith, things would be a little bit different. But I don't have that, so I have to pick and choose which battles and which hills I want to die on.
I mean, with me, I always say, well, I always tell her, well, why don't you? We're rebels. That's what we are. We're rebels. You're young. You want to be a rebel. This is
This is how you be a rebel. Wear a skirt.
This is how you be a rebel. This is how you stand out amongst society. And this woman with this TED talk, she said it. She did the experiment and she proved it right.
Yeah. Well, I've done it too.
I mean, I've seen it too, and sometimes I go out and. I guess if I look particularly pretty, I'm going to say sometimes, you can go out in your skirt and you're
yeah. Sometimes I'm in a skirt and I'm like, I hope I'm not. Everyone's looking at me like, wow, where did you just step off of?
Yeah, but, and all of a sudden.
We all have those days.
Everybody was helping me or anxious to help me lift things or, and it was just like.
Well, actually, funny enough, I found 2 statues on Facebook Marketplace. One of the Sacred Heart and one of Our Lady, and they're big.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not, anyways, side story. I bought it to make this niche in my wall and throw my home to the Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
It's not going to work because this thing weighs about 200 pounds.
It's for outside.
It's for outside, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, I got to fix them up. They're really whatever. But anyway, so I contact this guy. I pay for them, and I'm like, but I can't pick them up for a week. Can I come and pick them up in a week? And he's like, sure. And he lived about 50 minutes away.
Yeah.
But then he tells me, well, actually, I work in London, so why don't I bring them to work and you can meet me there if you ever go to London? I said, perfect. And then he sends me where he works.
Where does he work?
It's like an exhaust place, Tommy Exhaust, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's down in kind of like a not so nice area, kind of around where our church is actually.
Yeah.
But there's areas there that aren't so nice. And I look it up on Google Maps and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to go to this place. But I'm like, no, you're buying a Sacred Heart statue. You're buying Our Lady. What will be, will be. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And it's 9:30 on a Wednesday morning. I think you'll be fine.
Right, right.
And it's a business. Like, it's not, a chop shop or something, But then I looked, because you always creep people's profiles when you're buying something from them, right?
Yeah.
And he's a biker.
Oh, he's a biker.
Right? And I'm like, oh no, this is getting worse and worse by the day, right? But I'm just like, no, Sacred Heart, protect me, pray for me, guide me, whatever. So I go, and here I am. I'm in my skirt, my nice sweater, and I'm all pretty looking. And I get out of the car, and it's all fenced in by barbed wire.
Is it over where the bikers were?
No, not that far. And anyways, so I'm like, yeah, I really don't want to be here. But again, I'm like, this is a business.
Yeah.
Like, they had a waiting room, and there was people sitting in the waiting room. So I go into this little shack that's attached to this garage. It's an exhaust place. So they're working on these cars, right? And I'm like, and I go in, and there's like 3 people sitting in this waiting room. And they all look like bikers. And I'm like, okay, wow, I want to get my Sacred Heart and Our Lady, and I want to get out of here, right? Yeah. And I'm like, Holly, why do you get yourself into these situations? And then I'm thinking that, why does this guy have a Sacred Heart statue?
Right. Well.
So anyways, and nobody came out to the waiting room.
Right.
And Mom, I must have looked so weird.
Yeah.
Because I'm in this dress, and I'm like, short and little, and anyways, I'm just like, do, 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 do. And nobody in the waiting room was saying anything to me.
Right.
And I'm just like waiting for somebody to come out. And I'm just like, do, 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 getting nervous. And then I'm like, well, nobody's coming. So the garage shop door was open. So I go around, and I'm like, oh, there's somebody in there working on a car. But he had his head up under the car. And I didn't want to yell.
Yeah.
And there's this guy with long gray hair with a West Coast chopper shirt on. And I'm just like, oh, he's the biker. And then I'm like, I don't want to yell and him bang his head on the car.
Yeah.
So I kind of just went, hello. And then he never came out of the car. He never acknowledged me. And then I'm standing there, and then 2 more guys pull up in this big black truck. Like a massive truck with exhaust and super loud. More bikers. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, but God's will be done. God's will be done. So they get in, and they get out, and they got their coffee or whatever. And they obviously worked there because they had shirts on. But they're bikers. And then he's like, are you lost? Because I'm just free floating in the middle of this parking lot inside all this barbed wire fence.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, actually, I'm just kind of looking for someone named Chris, whatever. I won't say his last name, not that it matters anyways. But I'm like, I'm just looking for him. I'm supposed to be buying some statues off of him from Facebook Marketplace. I must have looked like I was going to cry or something. And the guy's just like, oh, Potter? And I'm like, oh, okay. And then he's like, no, come on over here. And then I'm like, well, I said I did yell, but I don't think he heard me. He goes, oh, you got to yell a lot louder than that. And then he's like, Potter, this fine young lady here is looking for you. And I'm just like, this is just so awful. But I'm like thinking in my head, out of all of that, at the end of the day, you know what I walked away saying?
What?
He called me a fine young lady. And the guy, and he came, and they were all very nice. Like, they were all very nice. And he came out, he was older. Like, he was an older man. Like, I'm going to say 50, 55. And he came over and he's like, oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. And he's like, here, where are you parked? Let me get the statues because one is very heavy. And, and he
Yeah.
walked him to my car. Like they were all very nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Do I advise going to do something like that? Absolutely not. Like, I think prudence is very important. But and then I got in the car and I'm like, he called me a fine young lady.
Ah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
After my almost near mental breakdown thinking I was going to get stabbed or something. Anyways, but anywho.
And he had 2 statues. I wonder why
And
he
big
had them.
ones
I
too.
bet they were
And
his
they're really
mother's or
nice.
something.
Yeah, and they're really old. The paint is chipping. They painted the robe on the Sacred Heart purple.
Oh, yeah.
A lilac purple.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, this is supposed to be red. Like, I didn't say it in my head, right? So they definitely need some work, but I'm going to fix them up real nice.
Yeah.
They're really nice statues. Really nice. And it was $50 for the 2.
Wow.
So $25 each. And they're huge.
Wow.
They're huge.
That's a steal of a
Like,
deal.
I don't even know. Like, the Mary one's really nice. I might make a nice shrine in my house because she's lighter. She's just resin. Yeah. So, but anyways. Should we, after my near,
yeah.
I was not going to call it a near-death experience. I just got very panicked.
You got out of your element.
I got out of my element a little bit.
And when you get out of your element, you get a little unsure.
And then you're like thinking in your head, I really hope these statues were worth it. And they were. They were. I think so anyways. So, anyways. All right. Well, are we going into our book? Or do you have anything else
I think that's it.
All right. So we're going to talk about making introductions. So again, just for those that are maybe listening for the first time, we're reading from a Handbook of Good Manners from the Mother House of the Sisters of Charity. And again, this is written for the sisters, but we can always apply this for ourselves too, because good manners are just good manners, no matter what. Okay, so making introductions. Quote, making introductions is one form of social intercourse that proves politeness to be a matter of consideration for the feelings of others. One cannot help having a sense of being slighted or hurt when no attempt at an introduction is made. End quote.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, think about when you're standing in a circle and everybody knows everybody or knows most people, but you don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And nobody's introducing you.
And nobody's bothered to say.
I mean, I think everybody's probably been in that situation once in their life.
I mean, I guess it's people, maybe we've caused that situation too by not being thoughtful enough.
Yeah.
And said, oh, forgot to introduce you and you don't know anybody here.
Right.
Okay,
quote. When you are with a group of your friends or acquaintances who do not know one another, be sure to introduce them.
Yeah.
Yeah, end quote. So, pretty much just what we just said, Always making sure that, you're that one person that the room is making sure that everybody's coming together and everybody knows everybody has been introduced. And then whatever you're at, whatever gathering, whatever, can move on.
I mean, I actually don't believe that people think that this is important.
No, I don't know because it's lost.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think they just like whatever. Oh, you don't know that person? Oh, yeah, that's Joe.
That's so-and-so.
Yeah, like.
Well, and how awful for that quote-unquote so-and-so.
Yeah.
That's what people, that's just Joe. Or, or that's just Bob. That's just,
Yeah.
Like, you should never say that.
Right.
That's not just anybody, You should be more considerate of other people. Okay, quote, in introducing one person to another, mention first the name of the individual who is older or deserving of great honor. For example, Mrs. Smith, I would like you to meet Mary Daniels, one of our pupils, end quote.
Right.
So, like,
the hierarchy.
You always start with the place you don't on the introduce ladder. Mary Daniels to Mrs. Smith.
Yeah.
You introduce Mrs. Smith to the pupil Mary Daniels.
You always have to give the person higher up on the ladder
their due.
Their due.
Mm-hmm. Okay, quote, in introducing the mother of the community, say, Mother, I would like you to meet my cousin, Jane Dumont. Or, Mother, perhaps you already know Mrs. James Dayton, one of our alumni, end quote. So when they say mother, they're referring to the Mother Superior.
Mother Superior. I forgot. I was like, how does your mother not know your cousin?
Yeah, no, it's Mother Superior.
Mother Superior, right. I forgot for a minute.
Okay, quote, I would like you to meet is a good form of religious to use, or allow me to present, or may I present. Oh, no, sorry. Let me start that again because I did a run-on sentence there. See, there's so many quotations inside
Yeah.
the thing here. So it's, quote, I would like you to meet, end quote, is a good form for religious to use. Then they go on to say, allow me to present or may I present is too formal and rather worldly, end quote. So what they're saying is they're asking the nuns to say, I would like you to meet,
Not say.
instead of allow me to present or
They're
may I
saying.
present,
They're saying allow me to present is too
is too
worldly
worldly and too formal.
and too formal, and nobody says it.
Nobody says it. Okay.
I would die if somebody said that. I would let
Oh,
me present.
listen to this. What we just said. This is so and so. Is curt and crude. Although sometimes we are obliged to use that expression. End
This is
quote.
so and so. Curt and crude.
So what they're saying, oh, this is Bob.
Yeah.
You know, like don't go, this is Bob. You should say,
Yeah,
I
that's.
would like you to meet.
Or, like,
Or you know,
that's
even
just my brother over there.
yeah, like even call someone over and they're saying, you should say, hey mom, I would like you to meet my friend Susie.
Yeah.
Better than saying, hey mom, this is Susie.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I know, and we got to a stage in the 60s where they really wanted to throw
don't,
all this
yeah,
away. Like they
yeah,
wanted it gone.
yeah.
They didn't want to have to stand on ceremony at
Right,
all.
right,
Ever.
right. Okay, quote, if you are informally introducing a number of persons to one another, it is more convenient to simply say, Miss Riley, Mr. Penfield, Miss Jansen, Mr. O'Brien, etc. End quote. So I guess if you just have a bunch of people to introduce, you
Yeah.
can just say, I would like you to meet Miss Jensen, Miss
Yeah, you just
Riley,
go along.
you just go along the line.
Right, right.
Although I know if you go around the line, how you remember all
No,
these names.
they do
But
that all the time. Like if you go into a shower, oh, I know you don't know anybody, so we'll just, and you'll
here
go,
is my Aunt
eh,
Susan. Here
and
is,
yeah, and then they always joke, well, I know you're not going to remember any of that.
yeah.
But at least the
But at
introduction,
least it's been
at
done, and
least
that
it's been
protocol
done.
has been done. So, okay, quote, the ordinary acknowledgement of an introduction is, how do you do, with the proper name of the person added. The acknowledgement should be made in a gracious, pleasant way, not with the curt, snappy manner that worldly people sometimes assume, end quote. So, how do you do, mother?
No curt, snappy
Snappy,
manner.
what's up?
What's that? What's up?
Okay, quote, the expression pleased to meet you or happy to meet you is now out of date and should not be used. You may add some remarks such as, I have heard the sisters speak of you, or we are very glad to have you visit our convent, end quote.
So pleased
So
to meet
happy to
you.
meet you and pleased to meet you are,
Pleased to meet you are out of date. Well, we should
I
bring
say
it back.
I say pleased to meet you.
Do you?
Nice to meet, no, I say nice to meet you. Like if somebody introduces someone to me, I always put out my hand and go, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, well, I hope maybe they address handshaking there because sometimes I put out my hand and people have been a little, and then I'm like, are women not supposed to put out their hand?
Well, I don't think they were supposed to.
Yeah.
Women were never supposed to do handshakes.
Yeah.
But
Maybe they'll go on to say that, but no, because then they go on, oh, wait, here we go. Wait a minute. Quote, a sister should stand when being introduced to a woman older than herself, to a public official, and to a clergyman of any rank. The one who is being presented should be the first to offer the hand.
oh, okay.
End quote. So if I'm introducing you to somebody, the person I'm introducing should put out their hand first. And then if they don't, then you don't shake their hand. You don't put
Right.
out your hand. Is that the
Right.
idea?
I guess.
I guess.
Yeah.
I never knew. Okay.
I mean, you see, like back in the day when the rules were the rules and you
Yeah.
had to follow them if you were going to be considered a member of
member of
polite
society.
society.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, we don't have these rules. Nobody would know whether you stuck out a hand or didn't stick out a
Yeah.
hand, or like there's no actual guidance to go by. Do I put my hand out? Do I not put
Well,
my hand out?
I'll tell you why I put my hand out. Because I always feel very awkward
Yeah.
because I'm not good at small talk per se. And then so when somebody introduces me to somebody and they go, oh, hey, Holly, this is so-and-so. I go, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And I put my hand out. And then you got that shaking moment.
Yeah, you gotta.
That kind of like, I don't know. I just feel like it kind of breaks the ice a little bit
Well,
or
I remember
something, you
somebody
know?
telling me to never give somebody a wet fish handshake.
A wet
I
fish
think it was
hand. What's a wet fish
where they
handshake?
just like, where they go to, and they can't like be bothered to even touch
Oh,
you.
so they're
Like,
just like, oh,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, like they're
Oh,
just like,
okay. Yeah, yeah.
and then there's the exact opposite of being so firm you're going to, you're
Yeah.
just squeezing their hand.
Well,
I'm a firm handshake.
I always thought too that a handshake was a like, I'm actually happy to meet you. Like,
Yeah,
shake my hand.
right.
That's what I always thought it was to me.
Yeah.
Like, if I meet somebody and they put their hand out to me, I'm like, oh, yeah, nice to meet you,
Yeah, see, I can't even picture people doing that.
I've done it. I did it too. Well, I'll tell you, when the
Who'd you
nuns
do it?
were here for camp.
Oh, you shook hands?
Yeah, I went over to them. They were
Uh,
kind of sitting in the corner, like,
yeah.
and no one. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go talk to the nuns, the sisters, and I went up and and to be fair, I had just sent my daughter down there for 3 weeks to stay with them, so I
Right,
thought
right.
I'd better go introduce myself.
Yeah.
And I said, hi, sisters, I'm Holly Antoine. I said, I'm Ava's mom, and then I put my hand out. I said, it's so nice to meet you, and they shook my hand.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of like, oh, do you put your hand out to nuns? Like, I don't know. I just felt like I had to do something though, rather than just stand
Yeah,
there
like it's awkward.
awkwardly,
But like, I mean, I think most people go, yeah, hey, cool.
Well, I
Like,
would not a nun,
no,
but
I know, but I mean, let's take the religious out of it.
yeah,
But you say, oh, that's my sister, Mary Beth over there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, hey, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I know nobody seems enthralled to meet anybody.
I mean, yeah.
That's why I think I do that. That's why I think I go over and I like make a point to like shake their hand to say like, I'm actually happy to be introduced to you. Nice to meet you. Like, I do want people to know that. To not ever feel like, wow, did you meet Holly over there? Yeah, what a wet mop.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, okay, and for me too, aside personally, I lived my life so long being accused of something.
Yeah. The nasty face.
The nasty face, and that I wasn't interested in people, and that I was just over with my siblings, and that I didn't mingle with anybody, and I was accused of that for a long time. So I've spent the last whatever years, when I've been trying to learn the virtues and trying to grow in my faith, I've spent those years trying to make sure that nobody will ever see me like that again.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want that. I don't want people to see me like that.
Right.
Like, oh, there's Holly over in the corner. Was she too good for us? And it's not that I care what people. Well, I do kind of care what people think. I don't want people to think I'm rude, but
you
I
don't
also
want to be rude.
I don't want. Yes, that's my point. I actually don't want to be rude. Like, I want to be that person that's like, well, because I'll tell you, I went somewhere recently, and there was a person there that was making sure everybody was looked after. Like, everybody was looked after. Everybody had a drink. Everybody was having a good time. And they were this person that just floated around.
Yeah.
And made sure that everybody was looked at. Like, and it was the most charitable thing I think I've ever seen in my life in a long time.
And it made the room pleasant.
Yes, she made the room so pleasant. And I remember leaving that place, and I was like, man, I want to be here so bad.
Yeah.
I did. Like, I was like, I want to be at a party or a thing or whatever, and someone go, wow, Holly really made this enjoyable. Yeah. And not for the human self-gratification, but just for the pure charity aspect of it, that you want everybody to have such a good time, and that you're the cause of that.
Yeah.
And to gain those graces in heaven too, you know?
Right.
So, anyways, now we're moving on to manners in chapel.
Okay.
So, here we go.
Got a bunch of kids that could use some manners in chapel.
Kids, tune in. Okay. No, I'm just teasing. Okay, quote, the practice of politeness in the chapel is sweet incense ascending to the King of Kings, making more fragrant the praises directed to him, for its purpose is to prevent distractions in the prayers there offered. End quote. So there it tells you right off the bat, the whole purpose, point blank, for the practice of politeness is for the sweet incense to ascend to the King of Kings. So all for the greater glory of God.
Right.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
Okay. One quick sentence here that's just literally one sentence. It says, walk gently, period. And then that's all that's in that paragraph. See that?
Oh, walk gently.
It literally just says, walk gently. Like, that's so important that they literally put it in its own paragraph.
I don't know if my niece will be listening to this, but she has a couple of daughters that you like the clicky clacky shoes.
Oh.
Right? And then they come into church and it's clicky clacky, and because they're
little. They're
little, right? And so they love to hear the clicky clacky. They love to. They're doing it like literally on purpose so they can hear.
Yes.
But I've noticed.
It's so distracting.
I did notice that 2 of them
didn't have clicky clacky shoes on today.
Oh no, but they walk on tippy toes now.
Oh, do they?
And
so maybe she told them.
Well, I think it's the nuns.
Oh, yes, because we have sisters now. That's right.
You know, no clicky clackies.
You can't. Well, I've said it on this podcast before. I remember saying the story about when I was a kid and I purposely couldn't wait to get shoes that clicky clacked because I felt so grown up and so mature. So I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But now as an adult, when I am in the store trying on shoes, that is the first thing that I check for.
Is
if they make a sound, and I'm not lying. If they make a sound, they go back on the shelf.
Yeah.
Because I want my shoe, when I walk into that church, I want to walk so quietly that nobody knows I'm there.
Yeah.
Because, part of it too is I play the organ.
Yeah.
And the choir always has to go up after the altar boys say the Confiteor. And then they go get the paten.
Yeah.
The choir at our church, then the choir walks up so that we're the first to receive so we can get back before everybody else to do the hymn.
Right.
Right? But so the whole choir has to walk up that aisle in the middle of Mass.
Uh-huh.
And not when everybody else is. So I don't want to be a big distraction.
Yeah.
I don't want to clack all the way up the aisle. So that is I refuse to wear shoes that clack. I absolutely refuse. I will not even have them in my closet.
Yeah.
Okay, quote, genuflect reverently, touching the knee to the floor. If physical disability prevents, show by your slowness of movement and devoutness of manner that your intention is to greet our Lord in the blessed sacrament with becoming respect, end quote.
Mm-hmm.
So touch your knee to the floor, and if you can't, show it by your slowness and your devoutness, I guess.
Yeah, you have to be your all your actions and motions need to be very slow and very direct.
Well, I do notice that. I was just thinking about when I was reading this, I was thinking about Grandma.
Yeah.
Because obviously she can't genuflect anymore, like at all.
Yeah.
I mean, she can barely walk. And when she comes up, she has to take the back stairs up. Not Sunday she doesn't, but for choir practice. And she always comes around the pulpit. She turns, she stops, she looks at the Blessed Sacrament, because I've watched her do it.
Yeah.
She looks at the Blessed Sacrament, and she very slowly bows her head.
Yeah.
But in a very direct bow, stops, turns, and then walks.
Yeah.
It's not like a quick oh, hey, how you doing? You know, it's a very direct, I can't genuflect, so I'm going to bow my head. Yeah. And she does it every time.
Right.
And I thought, that's how you do. That's how you show it with the slowness, the directness, and that's how you, get around that. You
got to do what you can
do. Do what you can do. Okay, quote, walk all the way into the pew so that sisters arriving later will not be obliged to climb over you. It is selfish to monopolize the end seat, even though your duty may require you to leave the chapel before the other sisters in your pew. End quote. Yeah. I have to say there is nothing. And I mean, I'm going to try to not be as whatever about this, but it is really annoying. Yes. It is really annoying when you see people in church doing that.
They will
not give up the end seat.
Right.
And for me, it didn't matter so much when we were kids because we had 30 people at our church.
So everybody got
an end seat. It didn't matter. But, now the church is packed and you just see people, they will not give up that end seat. And then you see people making so much noise, climbing over people.
Yeah.
And it really, especially really bothers me when it's an elderly person.
Yeah.
And it's a young person that will not give up the end seat.
Yeah.
That really, I'm just this is the etiquette that we have lost.
Right.
It's lost.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, even in our own chapels, Okay, quote, if you are obliged to pass a sister in the pew, be sure to say, "Pardon me." If you find that a sister is kneeling directly behind you, shift your position so that you do not obscure her view of the altar, end quote. Oh,
Hmm.
if you find a sister is kneeling directly behind you, shift your position?
Yeah. You
Like,
think of the people around you. Like, and
yeah.
it's very difficult, because when you're in the pew and if, and you got your missile set on the edge,
Yeah.
like maybe somebody's sitting down or something, right?
Yeah.
So, you have to, no matter where you're sitting, if you're sitting in the back or you're sitting in the front, you have to be
You have to
conscious
be
of the,
conscious of what's around you.
and you have to be the one to say, I'm not putting this person out.
Yeah.
So, like, sometimes people will be behind me and I want to sit down.
Yeah.
I will just sit on the edge of my seat.
Yeah. I will
I will
not sit
not
down.
go
No.
completely back and go, like, you're in my
Well, because
space,
then
move
that
it
person's
back.
kneeling with their like missile
Yeah,
up to their chin,
right.
like
Until
it's
I know that they're
impossible.
not kneeling there anymore.
Right.
And then I will sit back.
Right.
Because, maybe they could say, oh, this person wants to kneel down and they could move.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the idea is that you are always being
The
whether
person.
you're, and I mean, both sides of the coin. Like if you're kneeling there and you see the person wants to sit down, shift yourself so
Yeah.
you're out of the way so that
Yeah.
person can sit down. So both.
Well, if imagine if everybody was conscious of what everybody else was doing,
Yes,
right?
it's called charity.
Charity.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's
Took the word right out of my mouth.
called,
Okay.
thinking of others,
Others.
not yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, sorry, I'm just finding where we left off here. Quote, be mindful of the presence of our blessed Lord. Avoid unbecoming postures
What I just said.
such as half kneeling, half sitting position.
Yeah.
Resting of the feet on the kneelers or of the elbows on the pew in front.
Yeah.
Even though illness may excuse you from kneeling throughout a long service, nevertheless, unless forbidden by the physician, you should kneel at least during the consecration of the Mass, for a short while after receiving Holy Communion and during the Come Holy Ghost and the final De Profundis and community prayers, end quote.
Right.
So a lot of that was for their services, but it's funny that we just said that and then it says don't do that.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference. Like if
Yeah.
you're just kneeling
Yeah.
like that for comfort,
Yeah. No.
like
Well,
don't
and
do that.
feet on the feet on the pews, that's a big one.
Yes.
Because I used to sit like that all the time. And then now that we have sisters here, I watch them.
Oh, they would never do that.
No, I know they never would, but I'm just saying, like, I'm always watching them. I'm always watching how they sit. I'm always watching how they, well, and especially since we started reading this book, I am always watching them because I
Yeah.
want to observe their etiquette and I want to imitate it, right?
Yeah.
And I caught myself the one day and I was sitting in church and I had my feet up on the kneeler.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, I thought, this is so unbecoming how you're sitting right now. Get your feet off the kneeler.
Yeah.
Like, so then I put my feet down and then I put my hands on my laps and I literally was like, this is nice.
Yeah.
Like I was like, don't put, like, I'm talking to myself here. I'm like,
Right,
get
right.
your feet off the kneeler. Like you're not relaxing in your living room. And if you always keep the mind in your mind, the front of the Blessed Sacrament, and that he's,
Yeah.
right there.
Right, right.
How, if you could actually see him,
Yes.
how would you sit?
Yes.
That's what I think we have to remember.
I mean,
like, you think about it. He's there, but if you could actually see him, how would you be sitting in church right now?
I mean, to be upright is a virtue, right? Now, to be upright does not mean that you sit straight or you stand straight. That's not exactly what to be upright means.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is part of it.
It is part of it, yeah.
If you're always upright in how you're presenting yourself, I mean, it will trickle down into being upright in your personality.
Right. Of course, yeah. Okay, quote, with the utmost exactness and determination, refrain from using your handkerchief violently and noisily in the chapel. If you must use it, do so in the quietest possible way and as infrequently as possible. Not only is this practice disrespectful, but it is distracting to the priest and disgusting to those nearby.
Yes.
In the case of a head cold or sinus trouble, try to attend to your needs before coming to the chapel, or else wait until after you have left. End quote.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, I am glad they said that.
Nothing
It
is
is
worse as the
disgusting. It is
coughing and the hacking
disgusting.
and the blowing and
Yeah.
and I get. I mean, and look at me right now.
Yeah.
I get like it's really
People get
hard,
sick and it's
and
hard.
it's you can't. But you have to be sensible to the people around you. Like you are legit putting them out. And if you're putting them out so bad, you need to remove yourself.
Yeah.
You need if you can't get a hold of the nose situation, maybe
Do
you
you,
should sit in the
vestibule.
vestibule.
Do you know that they make earphones now
Really?
that are noise blocking things? So you put them in they're not headphones, like they don't play
Yeah.
music or anything. I saw an ad for them. You put them in your ear and it allows you, I don't know how they work, but it blocks out aggravating noises like chewing.
Yeah, really.
People snotting. Like I saw the ad and it said, only hear what you want to hear.
Oh,
How they
weird.
work, I don't know.
That's weird.
It is weird because I will be honest, and I know I've told you this before, I do have, like, chewing,
Mm-hmm.
the sound of somebody chewing to me, I would rather listen to nails on a chalkboard than somebody chewing. Honestly, I
Well,
would.
I think that's most people. Like
Like,
chewing probably
and
is one of the most aggravating sounds there can possibly
well,
be.
and then part of me is like, obviously I'm not alone because they made a headphone especially for it.
Right.
But then at the flip side, I also thought, well, how, what's the word? How, whatever are we that we have to block it out because we can't take it?
No, I know. Like I mean, again,
We have
like
to buy
charity is
it
on
goes
both
both
sides.
sides.
Like
Yeah.
don't be smucking your food or chomping gum. Like well, in the old days, they say like you'd be coming in. I remember being a young girl chewing gum.
Yeah.
And my mom would say, "What are you, a cow? You're chomping like a cow?
Yeah.
Stop it! Throw that out."
I mean,
That's what they would say.
Not that that's a problem for mass. I hope nobody's doing that
Right,
in mass.
not for mass, but I mean, I'm talking about. But I mean,
but I was just thinking because they were saying about the blowing and the stuff.
Yeah, but like so, don't be conscious of the noises that you're making.
Yeah.
And then also be tolerant of the noises that are being made.
Yeah.
Right? So
right. Both sides.
It's always like I always say it's to be very critical of yourself and to be very lenient of others. Right? So I mean that's really that's the problem the Pharisees had.
Yeah.
Right? They were very critical of others and very lenient on themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So I mean, so that's basically when we look at any law of the church, anything, whether it's like, well, let's take, since we talked about it in this thing, the wearing of pants, right?
Yeah.
If women want to wear pants, be very lenient on them, but be very harsh on yourself, right? Say, well, I'm not doing that. I'm doing this, right? So the rules of the church to avoid yourself from being a Pharisee, is to be very harsh on yourself and very lenient on others.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's chewing, whatever. It's all the same.
Okay, quote, in like manner, avoid unnecessary clearing of the throat and control the noise of coughing and sneezing. A sneeze may come unexpectedly, but a little care habitually exercised will greatly decrease the sound.
I've been trying. It's not working. We were in the car yesterday, right? And I sneezed.
Yeah, and I just about ran into another car. No, we weren't even driving. We were parked, but
you said to me, you said, what? I said, I tried. I was doing that.
What did I say? Try again.
It's not working. Your sneezes are brutal.
They are so bad. Okay. A sneeze, they could stop traffic 5 miles away, Mom. A sneeze can be prevented. Oh, they're going to tell you.
Oh, good. Tell me how to prevent it. That would be good.
Okay, listen up, Mom.
Okay.
Okay, a sneeze can be prevented by pressing the fingers firmly across the bridge of the nose.
Oh, okay.
Firmly across the bridge. Yeah, like, so you got to get the bridge.
Okay, the bridge.
Okay?
Yeah.
Or on the upper lip, just below the nose. I'm going to try that one.
Yeah, I'm going to try it next time.
For those who are likely to have a series of sneezes, once they start, and this is a helpful suggestion, cover the mouth with the hand or handkerchief when coughing or sneezing. The sound of coughing may be greatly decreased if the handkerchief is quickly put over the mouth and nose.
Okay.
So maybe you need to carry a
Well,
handkerchief.
okay. The one thing I don't do is 500 sneezes in a row.
No, she just does one big one,
I just
ladies
do
and gents,
one
and
big one.
it's a big one.
Because we got other people in this family that
That
like to do about 30 at a time.
I do that.
And
I
so we
usually
go,
do
okay,
about
God
3 or
bless.
4.
Okay, God
God
bless.
bless.
God bless you. Okay, God bless you. God bless. Are we done yet?
I always say, you're not getting any more. 3
We're
is
done.
your
You've had your God bless quota for the day.
Okay. Quote, endeavor to be noiseless in using your rosary beads, preventing them from knocking against the pew in front.
Right.
End quote. So, yeah, pretty standard.
I mean, that's
there.
rose, papers, everything. Try
Yeah.
not to make noise.
Quote, yeah, I will say that too. Some people do like flip their missal pages very loudly.
Yeah, like
they're I'm like, how are those pages not being ripped out of there? But, okay, quote, if when you are leaving the chapel, you are expected to raise the kneeling bench in preparation for the sweeping of the floor, do so as noisily as possible. A little care will help to prevent the slamming sound. End quote.
just be cautious of what you're doing. Don't make noise.
Yeah.
So every movement, every gesture.
But I mean, that is good. Like, a lot of people just walk out of the pew.
Yeah.
And they don't raise the kneeler.
Yeah, no.
And Father had said that recently when he was going over church etiquette a while back. Like, whenever you leave your pew, raise up your kneeler. It's not just for the sweeping of the floor, but it's easier to get in
without the
kneeler down, you know? So it's courtesy to the next person coming in for the next whatever mass or whatever's going on in church. Okay, quote, refrain from giving lengthy messages in the chapel. If a word or two will not suffice, ask the sister to leave and speak to her outside.
Yeah. If you need a novel, you need to remove yourself
from
if it's a very quick
church. It's fine, yeah. Quote, try to learn what is required for properly assisting at church services. Example, stand throughout the chanting of the asparagus or vidi aquam before high mass. Close your missal and listen to the priest when he reads the epistle or the gospel for the congregation. Bow at the mention of the holy name of Jesus, at the words Veneremur Cernui in the Tantum Ergo, and at the Gloria Patri. End quote. I did not know that during the Tantum Ergo that you were supposed to bow your head at Veneremur Cernui.
Huh. Well, we're learning something
here.
Now
we know. And at the Gloria Patri. Cool. So that's end quote. That's all there is for that. And then it goes into manners at spiritual exercise in general. But I think we'll leave that for next week. Yeah, very interesting.
Right.
So, yeah, I would say basically for myself, my pointers for myself, and if anybody else wants to take these too, remember when you go into the church, Blessed Sacrament first, all for the great glory of God, and then concern for everyone else around you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Is key. Mm-hmm.
I mean, God did say, if you don't love your brother, you don't love me.
That's right.
So
anyways, I guess we'll leave it there because we're over an hour. And, so God willing, we'll be back next week. And until then, I hope that everybody has a very blessed and good week. And may our Lord bless you and Our Lady guide you. And Saint Teresa, pray for us.